This episode of the Modern People Leader podcast is brought to you by Transform. Transform is just 17 days away. If you've been on the fence about going, this is your sign that you should go. The top HR leaders in the world will be there, and you should be too. Come swap ideas with the best and the brightest and have a little bit of fun while you're at it. Go buy your tickets now at transform.us/modern-people-leader. That's transform.us/modern-people-leader. The prices go up on March 11th, so get your tickets now. All right, welcome to another episode of the Modern People Leader, episode 100.
Episode 100.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think we're at 100 episodes.
I know. Yeah, this is a special moment for sure, and I feel like that's probably just like the good news for both of us. Like we've made it to 100 episodes. Not a lot of podcasts can say that, so I'm really proud.
Yeah, and I knew we would be doing this for a while. I had no idea that we would get this far. So yeah, this is by far the good news story for me for today is like
Ditto.
We did it. We're at 100.
Yeah. And especially on weeks like this, like, I mean, obviously we can't get into the details, but just mediocre week, I guess, at best.
Mediocre, aggressively mediocre.
Yeah. So ending the week on our Friday, being able to record episode 100, I am very happy. And I was actually doing some research last night, sitting on the couch while we were watching. I think we've been watching this show called The Hunter. And I got bored for a second. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's on Amazon Prime. But I was looking up what to do for your 100th episode, and I found a couple of blog posts. And one of the ideas that I found was have somebody come on to the show and interview you. But this is for podcasts where it's a single host.
Yeah.
So because there's two of us, I figured we could do this, but instead we could interview each other. So this is going to be a bit shorter of an episode, probably like 30, 40 minutes, but half of it, I'm going to be interviewing Steven, and the other half of the interview, the tables are going to be turned and he's going to be interviewing me. So
I've got some curveballs.
Yeah. Sure. We're going to be talking about just like, learnings from the podcast. I don't know. I'm not going to steal our thunder, but just wanted to sort of set the context for our listeners.
Yeah. And to be totally honest, for those of you listening, we didn't even realize, like, we had a whole nother agenda for our one-on-one riff, and we were like, you know what, for 100, let's scrap that and let's have a real conversation just about this journey, because it's been amazing. It has been surprising in great ways, but there definitely have been some lessons learned. I'm not sure I have taken the appropriate amount of time to fully process like exactly how huge this milestone is and everything that I've learned, but I've got some thoughts. So
yeah, and I hope this isn't I hope that all of our listeners enjoy this episode, not just the listeners that have been with us since day one. I know for some of you that may be listening, maybe you discovered us from one of the recent guests that we had on, maybe Josh Burson or Lars Schmidt. These are guys that are, have been well known in the industry for a while, and we were just lucky to have them on the show. And I feel like we probably have a lot of new listeners from having guests like that on the show. So bear with us. And I hope y'all enjoy this episode. It's gonna be a little bit different.
I'm ready.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So I'm interviewing Steven first. So the first question I have for you, Steven, what is your biggest learning since we started the podcast?
Ooh, yeah, there have been a lot of learnings. I think for me, when I thought about this question, I went back to the beginning, like why did we launch the Modern People Leader? What was the original thesis that you had, Daniel? And, I think when I just go back to that, for me, the biggest learning is that the future of work and the changes, which it wasn't even called that back then. Back then, we were in the midst of the pandemic. There were stay-at-home orders, and we were all scared as shit. And we knew things were going to be different, but we really didn't know what. And if you listen to the origin story, Daniel shared that, he had this epiphany, like, wow, what an incredible time in the people space this is gonna be, it should be this way for years to come, and it's gonna be transformational. And I think I completely underestimated exactly how big the shifts in the workplace would be.
Yeah.
And I that's by far, I think, my biggest learning is like, wow, these are
We
these are this is a generation, not only a generational shift, but it's like a seismic shift.
we went from talking about the future of work to now talking about the future of living. I feel like that's really what we're talking
Yes.
about. And
Yes.
we're just looking at that from the lens of work. So yeah, I same. Same to everything you just said.
And we've seen some big changes, and I think that there've definitely been there's been a lot of innovation and a lot of positive change, but at the same time there's also been fractures, I feel like, in the space. And in our most recent interview, we just did a group episode with Mirari and Ciara, and Ciara talked a lot about how,
Which might air after this. So
yeah,
hopefully it's
sorry,
not too
yeah, don't
confusing.
don't audit us. So listen to the next episode if you haven't heard this one yet. But the word that Ciara used was polarizing.
Yeah.
And I feel like we didn't start, we were all in this together, and we were trying to get through the really, really difficult things that were going on. And it wasn't just a pandemic, it was Black Lives Matter, it was like all the social unrest, it was all these various things. And since then, I feel like we are more fractured than we are aligned.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we have taken, while there's been innovation there, we've also taken some steps back. And so that's kind of why I ended up with this specific learning, is there is still a lot of uncertainty. And I don't think we fully understand how big this really is.
Yeah. I think one thing that they were saying is that a lot of the decisions that leaders are making are being informed by the news that they digest. And she was saying, I think that the news or what these people choose to read may not always be representative of what's really going on.
Right.
So one thing that I'm like really proud of that we've done at the Modern People Leader is that we've taken the route of positivity versus like negativity. Like there's an easier route to getting a bunch of listeners and attention. There's like, the sensational posts that we could be doing. We could I won't go too much into like what that would look like, but there's like another route for the Modern People Leader where we're basically mad every time that we're talking.
Right. I mean,
Which
this
we do
isn't
have, like we could be like there is a lot of things to be mad about, but I don't know. I'm proud that we've chosen to like stick to positivity
yeah.
and instead highlighting the people that are doing amazing work.
Right. I mean, if you go to TikTok, you go to LinkedIn, you're not seeing positivity. You're
Yeah.
seeing
What bubbles to the top is not always going to be the most positive, nor is it going to be the most representative of what's actually going on. It's going to be what's the most inflammatory and what's getting the most likes and engagement.
right. And so, there was a playbook that we were following, and that part of the playbook we chose not to follow.
Yeah.
And that was more, I think, from a personal like feeling perspective. Like, it just felt icky. It didn't feel like
Yeah.
that's what our audience wanted, and it didn't feel like that's what the world needed. We
Yeah.
don't need another
Plus,
divisive.
Yeah. Plus, it's so much more fun just celebrating the people that we bring on.
Right.
Right.
And I guess so to add to that question, my second biggest learning is that there is, we get a lot of questions like, how have you done this? Like, can you talk to so and so who's thinking about launching a podcast? Can you give me feedback on like this idea I have for a podcast? How have you done it?
Yeah.
And which is just weird. That's a weird place to be.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm humbled and I'm honored. So from a podcasting perspective, my biggest learning is there is no playbook. There is no like way of doing it, because we certainly tried some of the things that we thought like, okay, if we do ABC, we'll see XYZ and it's going to be great, and we're also going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And those things didn't pan out the way we thought they would. So we found our own path.
Yeah.
And that's like, wow, like, okay, you literally anyone can do this. That is true, but you have to find your own way and your own fit.
And I feel like that's also a common thread in the conversations that we're having with these people leaders is that there is no one path to becoming a chief people officer. There is no one path to figuring out how to like have a great culture. Like, of course, there are things that every company can do, but that path is going to look different for every individual in every company.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And there's no one path to having a success, which I think we can call this successful now by most measures. I think we definitely can call this successful. And so similarly with podcasting, there's no one path to
Yeah,
have a successful podcast.
agreed. All right. So, my next question for you: what's the most unexpected thing that has come out of doing the podcast? And it could
Ooh.
be personal or it could be related to work.
Yeah, this one's a little awkward for me because the truly big, the biggest thing that unexpected thing that came out of all of this, I can't share.
Yeah.
And that's super awkward. It's work related, and I can't really talk about it now, but some of you may be able to read between the lines, especially those of you that know me. Hopefully more to come on that. And I can't,
Well, stay tuned.
there's an awesome story for me to share, but I can't share that one quite yet. And so I think personally, the most unexpected thing for me is just how much I've enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I again, for those that have heard the origin story, Daniel pitched me on the idea, and initially I was like, no, I don't really listen to podcasts. I do now. Probably not as much as definitely not as much as Daniel or my partner Sarah, but I found a joy for it, and it all came from doing what we're doing on the Modern People Leader. The conversations that we're having have just been so amazing. That's not even the word to describe how I feel when I walk away from these conversations.
Energized.
Energized is a great word. Hopeful is another word.
I was
Blessed, like
I was talking to I had a coffee chat with somebody this morning who runs an engineering podcast. And the way that he describes podcasting is you're talking to really smart and interesting people about the thing that they're most passionate about. And of course that's going to leave you feeling energized
yeah,
after every episode.
yeah,
So,
because they're jazz and we're jazz. And the other cool thing about that is we have a lot of individuals that join us that aren't extroverts. Their natural inclination isn't to sign up for a podcast and share
yeah.
details about their lives, because we're not a typical HR podcast.
Yeah.
And so, the Modern People Leader is much more personal than that. And I think that's what differentiates us from some of the other great podcasts out there. But these individuals they trust us. They trust us to be vulnerable, to share their experiences, to share really difficult, horrible things and challenges that they're working through. And so yeah, that has been like another nuance. And I would say also related, unexpected thing that's come out of the podcast is the growth. Like I am blown away when I look at our numbers, and Daniel is a numbers junkie, constantly updating the metrics, maybe looking at it too much, but hey, that's I'll
That's
let
just
you.
how I am in my life, like in
And you're a
general.
marketer,
Yeah.
so it's in your like professional DNA. But we're booked through August. We have guests that we can't even take on all the requests that we get to join the Modern People Leader. And I get so many messages. That's the other really
Yeah.
unexpected thing.
Same.
Like, thank you so much for doing this. Modern People Leader is so different to everything else out there. I finally found something for me. And so that has been another unexpected. And I know you said the one unexpected thing, the most unexpected thing, but there's so many dimensions. And so the last thing I'll share is the HR community. And for me, I didn't think that we'd be embraced by so many different people in the HR community. And when I left corporate HR and I finally took the entrepreneurial plunge, I thought that it would, you hear about startups and like their incubators and Y Combinator and all these different things.
Yeah.
And you think that everyone's going to be super collaborative and really help each other out. And that was not my experience. Quite the opposite.
Yeah.
And it was, incredibly lonely, incredibly difficult. But it is what it is, right? That's just the reality of the startup game. And so I kind of expected the same thing for the podcast. And I thought, okay, well, the HR community, they're already established
You thought
groups.
there's a lot of gatekeeping.
I thought there was a lot of gatekeeping. HR people, professionals can be a little bit guarded anyway. And man, that is not that the one of the biggest, most unexpected things that I've experienced is what I thought coming in was it has been completely different, and we've been fully
Yeah.
embraced by so many, and we really owe a lot to some of the communities out there. And hopefully, if we have time, we can give some shout outs later.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that's my very long answer
That's
to
his
your.
one most unexpected thing.
Yeah, I told you I struggle with this one.
When you think about the modern people leader in 2026, and I don't know why I picked this year, but 3 years from now, like we're sitting here in this room and we've accomplished what? Like, or we've turned the modern people leader into what? Like what does the modern people look like in 3 years?
Ooh, yeah. This is difficult for different reasons. I'm not sure I can fully see 3 years out and look back and visualize what the modern people will look like. But just kind of spitballing here, we were definitely a 98th, 99th percentile podcast. When you search for HR podcasts, for people podcasts, for leadership or management podcasts, Modern People Leader is one of the first that you see when you search. I think that we have, when we look back, I'll reflect on my comments just around the HR community, and we've established a new kind of community, because I do believe that there's something needed.
Yeah,
People leaders need some form of community that doesn't currently exist.
I agree.
And there are a lot of great communities out there: CPO, HQ, the Transform community.
And I think this just goes back to our point around we live in this world now where you can curate your life to have everything that you want or need in it. And I think the same goes for people leader communities or HR communities. Like I think that there's maybe like a gap or like an unmet need that people have within the HR community space. So maybe they're involved with 3 or 4 people leader communities, and we just happen to be one of them. But I think that we, similar to how we approach the podcast a bit differently, I think that there's like a I don't even know what the new model of the community would look like, but if anybody has any thoughts and there's something that they're like, "Oh, I love this community for this reason and this community for that reason and that community for that reason. I wish there was a community that had like these 3 or 4 elements to it." Like if you have opinions, reach out to us. Like hit us up on LinkedIn. You can email us. Uh yeah, reach out. We want to
Reach
hear.
out. We definitely want to hear. And I think the last thing that I will add to my answer on this one is, 3 years from now, we were more than just a podcast. And I don't know exactly what that means or what that
Yeah.
looks like. And I don't think it is like the logical like adjacent extensions, like, I don't think we're doing training programs and in that sort of thing. There are a lot of great HR communities that are already doing that, and
Yeah.
so I don't think there's really a need for that. But we're definitely a media company.
Yeah.
What is part of this media company? I don't know,
Yeah. Agreed.
but I'm really excited about what
Me
it might
too.
look like.
Me too. All right. So my last question for you, and this is more of just a fun question.
Yeah.
So who from your personal life listens to the Modern People Leader the most?
This one, I actually don't know the answer to this one. I'm embarrassed to say that. I know that, and so I wish we could look at the data and see, like, I could point to, like, I feel like there's someone out there in my life that is an avid listener that I don't even realize that they're listening to every single episode, because we have listeners that have definitely listened to every episode and will reach out.
You can lump Don Boone into that bucket.
Don Boone. Yeah.
Pre-
Okay. Well, there we go. I think it is definitely Don Boone.
yeah.
Boone who continues to get shout outs, but that's because he communicates with me, and I know that he's listening, and I love that you're listening, Dom. And so shout out to Dom, one
He's
of the
probably
OG
on a run
listeners.
right now.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
on a run right now. And Dom is the primary reason why we do the one-on-one riffs, because we thought these were silly, and we thought, like why? It's literally just us rambling about things. Why would you listen to that when you could listen to Darren Murph talk so eloquently about all these amazing things? So yeah, I would say definitely Dom, but like truly in my personal life, I would say the person who is exposed most to the Modern People Eater is definitely my partner, Sarah. She's listening more now because she's like, will bring up like this episode or that episode. For a long time, she was like, I'm literally hearing you do the episodes.
Yeah. Why do I need to listen?
I don't want to listen to them again.
Yeah.
And for those that know me personally, I talk a lot. And so she's like, I need less. So
she's like, I already hear Steven talking enough
all the time. So, but the other person I want to mention before we turn the tables and I interview you is my partner Sarah's sister, Laura. And Laura was a huge supporter from the beginning. She is a music teacher in Palo Alto, and she has never had a career in HR. She is not looking to have a career in HR, but she listened because she was like, oh, it's just so cool that you launched a podcast.
Yeah.
And so shout out to Laura, because in the beginning, when we thought no one was listening, I would be like, oh, I got a WhatsApp from Laura, and she gave us kudos on blah blah blah. So definitely shout out to both Sarah and Laura, because I think, in terms of personal people in my life, they're definitely the most involved and engaged with the pod.
Shut up.
So now it's my turn. And we agreed that we wouldn't ask the same questions. Typically we do that for a rep. That's part of our playbook. But we're going to mix it up. And so my first question for you, Daniel, is what has been the most challenging aspect or the hardest part of launching and growing the podcast for you personally?
I think it's just staying consistent. There's this thing in the podcast world that's called pod fade. And basically what that means is that after 4 or 5 episodes, you aren't getting the traction that you were hoping for, or maybe you just realize how difficult it is to produce a podcast and you quit. So, after us, making it over that hurdle in the early days, like that was a big deal. And then podcasts just take a really, 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 really long time for you to grow. Like I listen to a ton of marketing podcasts, and they always say start with podcasts as a channel last. Most of the advice you hear is start with a blog and then move to a newsletter and then move to a podcast, because the bigger audience you have, the easier it is to start a podcast. We started from 0 with the podcast and are working backwards, and it's working, and we're growing the show, but it's tough to really stick with it when you have stuff going on in your personal life. There are some weeks where maybe I have really bad anxiety, and we have an interview with somebody that I really respect, and the whole episode I'm just trying to stay present in the conversation and make sure that I don't fuck the thing up.
Yeah.
So
I do know.
So I don't know, it's just staying consistent even on the bad days, because we are human. I think one thing that people probably forget is that even the people running podcasts or working in the media, everybody's going through their shit.
Yeah.
And while they might sound, and I am great, I don't want people to freak out about me, like my mom, because I know she's my biggest listener, which you're probably gonna ask me. But
Daniel, you did what we really hope our guests don't do, which is you go ahead and answer future questions. But we'll come back to that. So So you're great, but it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's hard to stay consistent with something when you don't get the immediate results or you don't see it, it's not happening as quickly as you want it to. So I think that, luckily I just what we're doing, I am so bought into and passionate about and curious about that uh that's like what keeps me going. Like whenever I remind myself why we're doing this, and again, that's to create a better world that we live in through work. Uh that's what keeps me going.
Yeah.
Like and I think that if maybe we didn't have something that I felt was as important as this is, then maybe we would have had that pod fade after the first 5 episodes.
Yeah, for sure. I thought you were gonna answer completely different. I thought you were gonna say, because you're an idea guy, right? And you like testing and trying new things. I thought you were gonna say sticking to the format that we found works and not
Mm,
very and not jumping to another, because that's another problem is like if you're an idea guy, and I'm also an idea guy, but I feel like we balance each other out
yeah,
really well in that sense, because we're idea guys but in different ways,
yeah,
and we have different methods for which we want to execute on our ideas.
yeah.
And with you want to be quick, you want to try things fast, and so that's what I thought you were going to say. But you know
And I do think like our podcast will continue to evolve and change a bit over time. But I just think that that's probably necessary of any podcast if they want to keep listeners
yeah,
listen
for
or
sure.
engaged and you know interested in what we're talking about. But yeah, I definitely do like to. I have Tori would she says I have too many ideas. She has to reel me in sometimes. She's like, do you really need to be writing a screenplay with your friend Christian? Like maybe you should be focusing on the podcast." I'm like, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. She's a good partner.
Yeah.
Um, so next question. If you could narrow it down to one thing, what is the biggest area of growth personally that you've experienced since we launched the Modern People Leader?
I definitely think it's just like confidence in myself, like both personally and professionally. Growing up with two very high achieving brothers, both of them were top 1, 2% of their class in high school. Both of them went on to business school where they were in the honors program. Nick, if you're listening, my older brother Nick, like he went the investment banking route, was working at Goldman like right out of
Yeah.
college. So you have really high achieving brothers. And if you're the one brother that doesn't, I don't want to say I didn't care about school, but I had other interests. Like in high school, I was more concerned with how can I be the best basketball player that I can possibly be. And I'm 5'8", so I should have had some foresight that maybe going to play college basketball or going to the NBA wasn't going to happen. But I was more interested in that. And I think that's like always been the case. Like whatever I'm the most interested in, that's what I'm the most interested in. And everything else is sort of secondary. So I think that for a while I thought that there was something wrong with me because I didn't have that same I don't even want to call it ambition because I was always ambitious, but in a different way. But I didn't have that same drive to be as academic or to follow like the straight and narrow path. Like that never really interested me. Like I always wanted to do something different. So I think that manifested itself in self doubt, in thinking that like I said that something was wrong with me, that I was less than, and that would show up, at in college, whenever I went to UT with my peers, it followed me like into my career, always having imposter syndrome or thinking that I was like the dumbest person in the room, which probably was, which is fine. But I've found that through the podcast and doing this for 2 years and having something that I can call like ours, and we've built this from the ground up, I've proven to myself that I have my own I'm not saying I'm a genius, but I have my own genius. Like there are things that I'm really, really good at and that I enjoy, but it all goes back to it being something that I'm passionate about, something that I have interest in and that I can just sit down and if I was alone and if my wife was out of town, I could work on for 15 hours straight. Like,
Yeah.
not because I feel like I have to, but because I want to. So all of that has given me more confidence in how I present myself, both professionally and personally. Like, I feel like I'm more of my, and I hate saying this because it sounds corny, but like more of my authentic self. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, I think before I was always trying to be whatever the person I was around I thought like they wanted me to be.
Yeah.
And now I just feel comfortable in my own skin. So
Yeah, and you do have your own genius. You absolutely were born to do this in my mind, and just that's how I've experienced working with you, building this. What has it been like? You're a lot younger than me, and you're still relatively early in your career, and you're interviewing, you're having these conversations with C-suite level executives
yeah.
with decades and decades of experience. What has it been like, and this is definitely a curveball question. What has it been like, interacting with, our guests
Hmm.
and, showing up for these conversations and then hearing their lessons learned?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
I think just going back to the confidence part, like when we started this, there was definitely, I felt very intimidated. You know, you're getting on these calls with people like Katie Berg or Darren Merv
Yeah,
or Josh Burson or Lars Schmidt or like you name it. We've had a lot of amazing guests.
really
And
amazing.
I think that I used to think before, like I need to prove like how smart I am, but I think instead leaning into curiosity, that's been how I approach all of these interviews. I'm okay asking the dumb question. I'm okay asking them to repeat something that they've said. I've never worked in HR, so there's a lot of the jargon that, to be honest, like I still don't know. Sometimes whenever I hear something on the podcast, I'm like, I have no idea what they're talking about. I after the call, I look it up.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, now I know for next time. And it's helped me learn. So I think that's how I've been approaching these conversations, and then to hear their lessons learned. And a lot of the times the lessons learned are like, don't be afraid to follow the nonlinear path. Don't be afraid to uh don't be afraid to ask the dumb questions. It's like all of the things that I've just sort of learned from doing this. And then I've also learned that these are human beings that we're talking to. That's why I don't really get, every once in a while I'll get nervous, like one out of every like 10, 15 episodes. But for the most part, I don't, because these are just normal people. Like we do these prep calls with them. We have the interviews with them, and they're going through the same shit that we're going through. And a
1000.
lot of the times what surprised me is that, like these chief people officers are sometimes way more nervous to be on the show than we are to be talking to them. And that's kind of like a mind fuck.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
a bizarro world type
yeah,
of
it's
situation
like,
to
hold
be in.
on, don't be nervous to talk to us. We're just two cousins that happen to like talking about the future of work and HR and enjoy talking to chief people officers. Like, this is just going to be a laid back conversation. There's no pressure. We're not going to try to do any gotchas.
Right.
Um, so
We're not teeing you
did I
up
answer your
to.
full
Yeah, yeah,
question?
yeah.
Okay.
No, that was there. I don't think there was really any particular answer that I was looking for. I was just, as I heard you talking, and this is a view into my podcasting style is, as I'm hearing information, I I'm also curious. I'm like, oh, I wonder what that is like, because I haven't had really a chance to stop and think like, geez, what a cool opportunity for Daniel. Like, what if the tables were turned? I wonder what I would be thinking and what I would be experiencing if I were you and you were me, type of thing. And so thank you for sharing. My next question, what is your, I mentioned earlier, I get a lot of reach outs now relating to podcasting, and I think it's so cool. And I'm by no means an expert in podcasting. I am a guy that was lucky enough slash smart enough to finally agree to do this with you and come along for the ride. And so now people are asking me questions, and I share what I can. And so I'm curious, what is your one piece of advice for the aspiring podcaster out there?
Pick something that you can talk about for days. Like I as I was saying earlier, there would have been pod fade had we picked a topic or had I done a podcast about something that I lost interest in a weekend. And don't overthink the first few episodes. So as Steven was saying, what we thought was going to be the right format for the Modern People Leader,
It
we
didn't
we
work out that
changed
way.
like 3 or 4
Yeah.
times. We'll probably change the form. We'll tweak. We'll keep. We're always going to be tweaking the format. So for the perfectionists out there that have recorded the first podcast or the second or the third, and they're hesitant to like publish, just do it. You're not going to know what works until you put it out there. So don't overthink it. Progress over perfection. That's something we hear a lot on the show. And don't don't focus on vanity metrics. So I think a lot of times people,
What's a vanity metric?
so a vanity metric would be total plays or total downloads.
Yeah.
Like yes, you should be tracking these numbers, but depending on what you're talking about. So if it's something more business oriented, then it's probably going to be more niche. And rather than having a million people listen to your show, for us, like we want the top HR leaders to be listening to our show. So at the beginning, when there were only 50 top HR leaders listening to the show, that was great. Like that's 50 of the people that we wanted listening to the podcast. But some people might fall into the trap of making decisions for their podcast to increase that top line download number. But at the end of the day, they could have a totally random audience. So yeah, pick something that you're really passionate about. Don't overthink it, and don't get hung up on the vanity metrics.
God, such great advice. And it's so, that last one though, it's so hard. If you're doing this to grow an audience, like if
Yeah.
that's the intent, and to be fully transparent, that was our intent. Like we thought there was an audience for the conversations that we wanted to have, that we're having. And some people, they don't even worry about that. And for
Yeah.
those, like, that's a totally different ball game. But when you're not seeing the numbers that you hope,
Yeah.
and I think everyone that does this has some degree of hope,
Yeah.
to see like the outcome that they want.
Mm-hmm.
And plays and downloads is it's like the easiest thing to measure yourself
Yeah.
on. It's hard to get through those tough times
Well,
of no one listening. Like,
yeah.
oh, wait a second, maybe we were wrong. You start questioning everything.
One thing I'll say, if you are doing a podcast that's an interview format, rather than solely optimizing for the total downloads number, optimize for the feeling that you have at the end of every episode. So almost without fail, after every episode that Steven and I record, immediately one of us will call the other person, and you just have that feeling. Like your gut will tell you when you're doing something special. So whether it was you tried a new format or you picked a different type of guest or whatever variables that you have in your podcast, optimize for that feeling that you get at the end of the podcast for the ones that just feel great. Like, because at the end of the day, if you can optimize for that feeling, then even when the numbers aren't where you want them to be, you'll keep coming back to make more, to have more of the conversations, to create that other episode because you're optimizing for that feeling.
Yeah. And I think that was one of I really give you a lot of credit, because even when most of the time we have that feeling, to be totally honest, but there are times where we don't. In the early days, I would say that happened more often.
Yeah.
And
for me in the early days, I was like, we're just doing a podcast. This is awesome.
and you were really, well, I was going to say pushy, but that's not the word. You were driving us to the next episode, the next conversation. And I think that if we hadn't had that energy, I'm not sure we would have made it through that kind of, not dip, but there definitely is, you see initial traction, and well, at least in our growth curve, we saw initial traction, then it kind of flattens out a little bit, still getting better, but it's not as exciting. and then you get to your next inflection,
Yeah.
and it's hard to get through those like lulls.
Yeah. Uh, I was talking to an entrepreneur once, and he had a name for this. It's like, uh, he like used like a stair step, like a stair step analogy. You
Well, in
know,
the startup world, if we were like a tech startup, they also have similar kind of growth trajectory, and most fail in the lulls.
yeah, it's the step in like the stair steps, like
Right.
the flat portion of it, the
Yes.
plateaus. Like
Yes.
it, you can be stuck. So just like to be fully transparent, for the first, so we had, pretty consistent listenership the first year in 2021. In 2022, it doubled and it stayed around the same monthly listens every month for 2022, but it was double the year before. And then so far this year, it's like we're going, I because I can't think of another way of describing it, it's like the hockey stick,
Yeah.
and eventually it's gonna flatten out again.
Yeah.
And it's just inevitable. Like it's gonna flatten out again. But right now we're in that hockey stick and it feels great. But when it plateaus, like we could be stuck in that plateau for a year, 2 years, 3 years. I don't know how long, but yeah, if you're optimizing for the feeling, then you can make it through those plateaus.
Love it. Love it. So, last question. You already jumped ahead, so I'm just going to get to it. Let's talk about Belinda.
Yeah, so my mom, she she walks every single day. That's her form of exercise. So she lives close-ish, if you're familiar with Austin, to Lady Bird Lake,
Mm,
which is the big lake in the middle of Austin. And there's an
beautiful.
amazing running, walking, biking path that people like to go on. And every morning, she goes for, I think, like a 4 to 6 mile walk.
Wow.
So she has a lot of time to listen to podcasts. And her favorite podcast just so happens to be The Modern People Leader, even though she never
Love it.
worked in HR.
Love it.
She ran an assisted living for, 15, 20 years. So, I mean, she was the CEO, and I'm sure a lot of this
People
stuff
leader.
probably resonates with her.
Yeah.
But she wasn't in HR. So, shout out to Belinda for always listening to the show. And every once in a while, she'll have some good pieces of feedback.
Yeah,
So,
well, and I'll never forget, like in the early days, we got like critical feedback from not only Belinda, from your dad, also from Big Al, and it was like, wow, like to have other people like
yeah,
listening to the point at which they're like, you
yeah,
guys could have been a little crisper here, and you shouldn't lead so much there, and
yeah,
yeah, and I mean, I love it. I
yeah,
That's great. Like when you do this, you want to get better, and I feel like you need those early adopters that will be real with you
yeah,
and will be candid and will give you, you need the positive, right? And we
definitely.
we got a lot of positive because we're talking about family here, but
Yeah,
you also need the constructive,
yeah.
and we also got that. And so I think that's so awesome. Do you by any chance, does she have a favorite episode,
Oh, that's a
or is
great
that
question. I don't know if she has a favorite episode. There was one that she listened to that she was like, "Oh, I really liked." Oh, you know which one she liked? And it was the one episode that had nothing to do with HR. It was the episode we did on happiness.
ah,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Wow. So cool. Well, that is
Should we
the
do
end of my,
one word close?
let's do it.
I proposed that without having anything
Yeah.
to say.
Well, I'm gonna go the easy route. I'm gonna go Centennial.
Okay, I was gonna say 100.
Ooh, there we
Yeah,
go. And we didn't plan it, guys, but dude,
yeah.
congratulations.
Well, congratulations to you too, man.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you. It's been a lot of fun. And
happy 100.
I mean it when I say, man, I am so glad I changed my tune and
Me too.
have joined you, because this has been amazing.
Agreed.
I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to the next
Yeah.
100.
This would have been a way different experience if I did this by myself. So
Well,
I'm
here we
happy to
are.
have my cousin, one of my really good friends. And
Ditto.
yeah,
Ditto. All
good
right,
stuff.
guys. Well, thank you so much, and keep tuning in because we're not going
There's a
anywhere.
lot more coming.
All right.
All right.
Bye.